Alright guys, today I wanted to make a video about Chelsea beating Bournemouth by 2-0 in what in the end was a very good performance by Chelsea, especially in the first half, and a very good restart to the season for them after a not so good finish to the first part of the season before the break, before the World Cup. The start Graham Potter had at Chelsea, it had gone quite well the first few games, but over the past five before the end of the first part of the season, before the World Cup break, it definitely dropped, and it looked like it was going a bit sour at Stamford Bridge. And today's performance would suggest that a break was what they needed, and they have performed really well. Bournemouth, I think it's a bit of the opposite because they started the season poorly, but since O'Neill's come in as manager, they put in some good performances and have managed to pull themselves out of the relegation zone into almost like a mid-table spot. So fair play to them, but they really didn't need the break. They just wanted to continue their good momentum. And in this game, Chelsea, it was just domination really. First half was a superb performance. The link-up play between Sterling, Havertz, Pulisic and Mount, even Zakaria at times, it was all brilliant. Reece James as well, in the 50 or so minutes he was on the pitch, he played really well. It's a real shame that he's had to go off injured once again, because over the past couple of seasons he's shown to be a really important player for Chelsea, but has suffered some really bad injuries, which is really unfortunate for himself and Chelsea, because he is a vital player for Chelsea. And in the 50 minutes he was on the pitch, he did look back to his best almost. So it is a real shame for him that he is, looked quite bad as he went down the tunnel. So hopefully he's not out for too long again after a couple of months out, which cost him a place in the World Cup squad in the end. And yeah, the two goals, the first one, it was brilliant play down the right hand side, really good ball by Sterling, and Havertz does what Havertz doesn't usually do in some occasions, where he gets on the end of a cross. Sometimes that's a bit of a weakness to his game, but if he's been told by Potter to try and stay more central rather than coming too deep, then that could really help develop his game, because that has been a criticism of Havertz at times. One, he doesn't score enough, and two, he doesn't actually create enough chances for himself. So if he can do that a bit more, that'll be really good for him and really good for Chelsea. But yeah, Sterling, this has probably been his best performance in a Chelsea shirt I've seen so far. I think not only was it that in the first half he looked dangerous in the counter-attack, in the second half when Bournemouth were starting to put a bit more pressure on Chelsea, when the game looked a bit wrapped up, he was very good at picking the ball up inside his own half and going on a run with it, and taking the pressure off the Chelsea defence, which had a lot of pressure put on it with the injury to Reece James, meaning that Azpilicueta has to come on. Not that Azpilicueta is a bad player, but he just doesn't have the athleticism of Reece James. So Sterling getting back and helping out was really important to Chelsea in this game. And yeah, Mount as well took his goal really well to make it 2-0. Really good first time finish. And yeah, Mount, I still don't understand the criticism he gets. I mean, he's not, in my opinion, he's not, Kevin De Bruyne or one of the world's best. But what he is a consistent performer for a top Premier League team, a team who are currently in a European spot, I believe. Are they? I think they're in. No, they might be 8th, but challenging for a European spot, and usually are in a European place. So he is a good player. It's the end of really. And yeah, Chelsea, it was, there were a couple of injury problems throughout the game. Thiago Silva looked like he wouldn't last 10 minutes, but managed to last pretty much the whole game. So fair play to him. Cucurella's boot got injured. They had to wear odd boots for about half an hour at the end. And yeah, they just did have quite a few injury issues throughout the game. Zakaria as well. I haven't got used to saying his name. Pulisic had a moment. James obviously had to go off, as I've said. But Bournemouth, I think they went a little bit cautious because they were much better second half when Jayden Anthony did come on for them. He made a bit of a difference, just like gave them a bit more on the left hand side, because I didn't feel like they had anything going for them out wide. Bournemouth, Jack Stacey, he's for a wing back, he's quite defensively minded, was rarely getting forward, and when Jayden Anthony did come on, that just made Jordan Zamora at left wing back play a lot better for Bournemouth. So once they did go to the 4 at the back system, taking Stacey off and bringing Anthony on, it suited them much more, and that's why they did get a few chances towards the end of the game. Not many, but they were putting a bit of pressure on at least. So I think that's where Gary O'Neill possibly got it wrong today. I think, because if you do sit back against Chelsea at home, they will pick you off eventually, as they often do against the weaker sides. Well, that's a bit harsh, but weaker sides are, it's not too harsh, in the Premier League. And I think another player they were missing today was Marcus Tavernier. He's been an integral part to their sort of turnaround in form this season, so he was a big miss for them today on the right, because they don't have, without him, I just think they don't have a lot going forward on the right. So even towards the end of the game today, it was still very left side orientated. That there was very little still on the right. It was try and get Dominic Solanke to get hold of it on the right side of the box. It was the only thing they really had on the right. And Philip Billing as well, he sort of struggled. I thought Zakaria and Jorginho dealt very well with him in midfield. And Koulibaly and Thiago Silva, other than a couple of moments where when they had the ball, they nearly lost possession of it. There weren't too many moments where they looked uncomfortable with the ball. Kepa was fairly untested. And yeah, Bournemouth's back five was just too easy for Chelsea to get through. Senesi, I didn't think looked comfortable playing in the middle of the back three with Lloyd Kelly coming back into the team, because I don't think Kelly's played much this season for them. He's a good player, but that's a new sort of partnership in the centre of defence, so that's something they are going to have to get used to. And I don't think there was much Travers could do about either goal. But anyway, there is something I want to add to these videos that I make. I'm going to do sort of player ratings. So we'll just go through it fairly quickly. So we'll start off with Chelsea. I've given Kepa a 6. I just thought he dealt with what he needed to, but didn't have a lot to do, to be completely honest. And then we'll go through the back four. Reece James, he gets a 7 because whilst he was on the pitch, he did perform really well and was a big part of why they got their 2 goals. Unfortunately, he did have to go off injured. Koulibaly and Thiago Silva, I've given a 6 to Koulibaly. I just thought there was a couple of occasions where he would commit an unnecessary foul, or he would look a bit uncomfortable in possession, or didn't show enough for the ball when like his fellow defenders or Kepa had the ball. Thiago Silva, I've given a 7 because he, despite the one moment he had where he nearly did give the ball away cheaply in centre of defence, I thought he had a solid game, and his positioning at times was amazing, particularly towards the end of the game. Cucurella, I've given a 6. Standard performance. Didn't do anything special, but did his job. So I don't think you can give lower than a 6 to any of the Chelsea players today. Zakaria and Jorginho both get 7s. They controlled the midfield for the majority of the game, made sure that Bournemouth didn't really get hold of possession with Cook and Jefferson Lerma. And then Mount, I've given an 8. Great goal, and again, played some really good through balls to the likes of Sterling and Pulisic throughout the game to cause Bournemouth problems. Sterling, I've given a 9. For me, he was the man of the match. He didn't get on the score sheet, but he did set up Havertz's goal, and it was a really good cross to get it to him, and he was just causing the Bournemouth defence havoc throughout the entirety of the game. Havertz, I've given an 8. It's one of his best performances this season. The thing with Havertz is people know about his talent, but it's just how consistent he is at showing it, and today was a really good performance from him, so I think he deserves an 8. Pulisic at 7, again another good performer in attack for Chelsea. Didn't play the whole game, but whilst he did, he caused problems, especially throughout the first half, and was a bit unlucky to not have scored a goal in the first half. And finally, the only substitute who got significant minutes was Azpilicueta, and yeah, he gets a 6. He did his job. A bit of time wasting, which is what you expect with Azpilicueta, really. He's got that experience. He knows how to pull his team through games, and yeah, he's the sort of defender you want coming onto the pitch with 20-30 minutes to go. Bournemouth, I'll give Travers in goal a 6. I don't think he did too much wrong today, to be fair. There's nothing he could have done about Mount's goal, and I think if you look at Havertz's goal, even though he does get a bit of his body to it, there's not a lot he can do with that. Jack Stacey, I've given a 4. Just not a great performance, to be honest. Didn't keep Pulisic under control at all in that first half. And then the back three, I've given Smith and Kelly both 5s. They weren't horrendous, but I felt they could have done a bit better at keeping, again, the wingers by the forwards under control. And Senesi, I thought, was maybe the better of the 3 at the back. I've given him a 6. I felt at times that it was him sort of keeping the defence together, especially in that first half. Zamora I've given a 6 as well, because I think in the second half, once Anthony had come on, he did quite a bit in attacking, trying to create a few chances. So he's very much a player who needs to be playing in a team that aren't sitting back, because he can contribute so much when going forward. And then the midfield 3, I've all given 5s, Cook, Lerma and Billing. I just thought it was average at best performances. They failed to really get hold of the ball at any sort of point in the game. Solanke I've given a 6. I didn't think he was too bad. He was the only one out of the 2 up front who looked like holding onto the ball. Moore I gave a 5. He very rarely got a touch on the ball throughout the game, and when he did, he usually lost it, so it wasn't a good performance. And then finally, the 2 substitutes. Anthony I've given a 6. I thought when he came on at half-time, made a big difference to Bournemouth, so I think he deserves a 6 and was one of their better players. And Christie, I've given him a 5. He came on too late to really make an impact. But yeah, Chelsea beat Bournemouth fairly comfortably in the end, and yeah, good performance from the Blues, and they've got a job on their hands now, because they need to get back into the top 4 places and keep up their run of finishing in the Champions League. I believe it's every season now for 4 years since 2018, so they'll want to keep that up. Anyway, thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.